Hey everybody, welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. Today we have a big guest. We have Barbara Marx Hubbard, and she is going to be talking about a topic that is dear to her heart, human evolution and consciousness. And we're going to be also videotaping this, so for folks who want to check us out later on the Fired Up with CJ YouTube page, you can find us there. So welcome, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's great to have you here. I'm so excited to talk about the future of technology and computing and robotics. And I think it brings up so many interesting questions because as I was thinking more about consciousness, what it is, from what I can tell from the textbook definition, it's about being aware of ourselves on the inside as well as being more aware of things that are happening externally. And when I think about, I come from a technology background. I worked at Microsoft for, forever it seems, and including during the time of the internet. And what I see happening is with social media, with Facebook, with all the other technologies out there, we're pouring more and more about our thoughts, our feelings, what we're blogs, we're putting more about what we feel on the inside out there on the internet. And similarly, the technologies to sense the environment around us are getting almost more evolved than our five senses with, sensors and cameras everywhere. And I think it really raises some interesting question about what consciousness will be in the future and what the role will be of robotics. And what I really wanted to focus with you on today is, how can we actually use that technology for good so that we don't have a Terminator-like outcome? Because with great, power like this technology offers, we have huge opportunities. So I wanted to get at that too. So I'm excited. I can't wait to ask you all these questions. So tell us about, first of all, how do you define what consciousness is? I mean, I have a textbook definition, but you've been thinking about this for a long time. How do you define consciousness?
Well, I think of consciousness as the source and process of creation. It's the ground out of which all is arising. And I think there are two forms of consciousness. There might be the eternal one, and then there's the consciousness force that has dynamic direction. And that, from my understanding, the intelligence of atoms, molecules, cells, and all the way on up to us is intelligent consciousness creating. And what's happening to humans is that form of consciousness, which Aurobindo called supramental, is entering our consciousness so that we are becoming vehicles of the evolutionary consciousness of creation. And that is new for the human species at this degree, particularly in the high technology field, where we have new life forms, new intelligence, new bodies, new potentials, vastly greater than our own personal bodies. That, however, in order to be able to use those technologies, we have to become ever wiser with the supramental intelligence to guide it.
Do you think that there could be a point in which robotics actually have that level of consciousness where it can receive this higher level information and also create? Or do you think that is just a human thing? And I don't have the answers for this by any means, but I'm just curious what you think.
I don't know the answer to that. I've talked to a lot of people about it. And I'd like to just back up a little bit by saying I believe that the reason the humans have gained this high technology, starting with nuclear and the nuclear bomb, which, the atom bomb, which aroused me, what's the meaning of all this power that's good? So I think the first thing is to really ask, where do we want to go with all this power? And I feel that we're going towards the creation of a universal humanity, both on this earth and in the universe beyond. And that eventually will become a cosmic species. And the species that becomes cosmic off-planet will have to have these very high technologies combined with high consciousness. And since we are the species creating the robots now, we are the species inventing these new possibilities for life on this earth and eventually beyond the planet, it feels to me that if we do this with an intention of creating co-creators with love, if we infuse love into high technology, I'm very influenced by the life of Jesus. And what has occurred to me as he went through his life and then just went through the crucifixion and then the resurrection and came up as a light body and said, you will all do the works that I do and greater works. What I got from reading the New Testament with evolutionary eyes is that Jesus was a great evolutionary, and he manifested in the resurrection the new body.
Wow.
And because that's really the story, that's taking it literally, and that the new body would have Christ consciousness.
Okay, my mind went in 500 different directions and full of excitement. Okay. All right, so here's what I got from what you said, and I don't know if this is what you meant, but this is what I took away from it, is that what I'm hearing you say is that, there's this co-creation happening, and that if the co-creation is happening in which we're receiving guidance and then we're also creating, and it's kind of this giving and receiving kind of circle, that computers, robotics, those are part of that whole process. We're co-creating with the one, as well as these manifestations, these computers, robotics, are part of that. I mean, they're one and the same. That's the first point. Was that what you meant? And then I have another question related about the new body, because does that mean the new body could be a robotic body? I don't know. Those are the two things that popped out of what I thought you said, but what did you mean?
Well, I don't know for sure, but my own intuition is that the robotic and computer intelligence are like the techne of our nervous system. Like, I have a thought, and it goes through my nervous system, and I move a finger. And there's a high-level technology involved in the body.
Absolutely.
And so if that extended technology is responsive to the highest supramental consciousness, which we have a chance right now to infuse it with, because we're its creators. Right now, it's a very, very important moment, because the humans are the creators of the suprahumans.
Yes.
We are the creators of a species that will go beyond us in the universe.
Right.
And this, if we realize that's what we're doing, we're co-creating not only for making profits and doing things better on this earth, but we're charged by universe itself to co-create a species. Okay, this is the next level of the God inheritance of species created in the image of God.
Yes.
If we're in the image of God, what does God do? God creates. So we are becoming God-like co-creators with the divine. And our extended capabilities in robots and nanotech and biotech and all of that are extensions of the divine consciousness of life itself.
Okay, I'm worried though, because when I look at what people are doing for Facebook, they're throwing more. I mean, right now it's a business. So if I actually look at a pair of shoes at Nordstrom's, all of a sudden, boom, on my phone those shoes show up. On Facebook they show up. They show up everywhere.
Right.
And so they're using these technologies, which I get. Like, they're a business, they have to make money. I don't necessarily imagine at Facebook and Google and other people who are doing robotics, that they think, how can I infuse these products with love? I mean, the only thing that's close is Facebook recently, they found that somehow when people were talking about happy thoughts, something positive happened for them. I'm not even sure what it was. So they started deleting and greatly diminishing people's feeds that had negative comments or negative kind of downy, depressing, frowny face things. That's the only thing I see closest to love, but I don't even know if that would really qualify as love.
I think you're quite right. It's not exactly going in that direction now.
Yeah.
But I feel that the movement of conscious evolution that I'm initiating is that evolution is becoming conscious in humans. This means evolution by choice, not chance. Now, currently we are in a very low level of mentality in our corporate structure that is designed to make as much money as possible. And our defense industry is also a big corporate structure designed to make as much money as possible. Now, the question is that as far as we can go, and is that as good as we can do? Or are there members of our species sufficiently brilliant, excited, and visionary to attract those technologies to a higher purpose?
So if you were to talk to the head of R&D at Facebook or Google or some of these people, you would say to them, here's what I'm getting from this. You would say to them, you are part of human evolution. And
Yes.
you actually are co-creating. And what do you want the human species, where do you want it to go? What you're developing right now is going to affect the human species, right? So infuse it with love, and then I think they go, well, I don't know, what's that?
Yeah, well, not only fuse it with love, but vision of a universal species. See, I went to a conference called A Contact in the Desert, and there were 2,000 people there studying extraterrestrials, and very, very knowledgeable people of all kinds who have identified drawings and signs and signals and abductees, and there's a whole vast movement. And that it's obvious to me that we're not alone in this universe. And there are apparently, according to this movement, many, many off-planet species already in contact with humans. There's a big movement. And we have denied that, and we've had no disclosure here in the U.S., but that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right.
So I actually think one of the most important things we could do is contact with species who've gone beyond us. Let's just assume it's possible.
Is that what a universal human is? Because in terms of definitions, because folks that are listening may not know that, is that a universal human, which is the cosmic human that goes beyond this earth?
Currently, a universal human is like you and me. We are evolving humans on this earth.
Okay, got it.
We are seeking to embody the highest level of consciousness and creativity that we can.
Okay.
But who are open at the top to realize we're giving birth to a universal humanity.
Okay.
Which eventually, with all the new high technologies, will be a cosmic species.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it. So you're saying...
I mean, it's a matter of process. So my recent idea that is necessary now to answer these questions would be what I'm thinking of as masses of people resonating, asking for contact, and saying, we'd like to know how to become a universal species. How did you do it? In other words, we are a newborn planetary species.
Right.
We have our astronauts, we have little forays into space, but very little. We have high technologies, probably anti-gravity and all kinds of travel by DNA. I mean, all kinds of amazing things. Here's what I would like to know. Are there other species that have made it through their planetary shift to become what you might think of as universal beings? And since we are right at the stage of gaining the powers to do that, including all these high-tech people, like Google has a big thing on cover of Time magazine a while ago, is Google, Google approaches death. Can we get rid of death? Okay, that's creating a new species.
Yeah.
All right, so I would be inviting, if I had a magic wand, I would do two things. I would say, let's create mass resonance and ask for contact. Let's ask for advice. I would say we're just being born.
Yeah.
We have all these new technologies. We can destroy our life. We can create robots. We can create monsters. Or maybe we can create tremendously magnificent beings.
I love that.
You'd like to know how to do this.
Google has billions of dollars. They're taking this car that's self-driving car. Why not a virtual Captain Picard who can fly out and gather this information?
And
Why
let's
not?
ask for the information. And so and then to apply it, and then have our high technology geniuses learning from it.
Yeah.
Because certainly the long range purpose of this technology is not just Facebook and Twitter and making better cars.
Right.
It is really the evolution of the species.
Yeah, I think that's huge when all of a sudden you say, you as a someone who's programming these robots and these technologies in which more of ourselves are being poured into, are a partner in evolution. I think that makes, I don't know, that would excite me if I were in faith versus like, how can I get them to buy more shoes, or whatever they're thinking.
I think we have the lower level impulse, but the higher level purpose
is
embedded in many people too.
Yeah.
And what you need to do to activate the higher level purpose is to share the vision and ask the questions of them.
Yeah.
See, I would like to ask not only the high-tech, the off-planet beings, supposedly that they have figured this out, but I would like to ask the high-tech genius, if you had your highest purpose to infuse this new intelligent system for life ever evolving, that the human species is creating a new species, how can we make it the best possible species? I'd ask them.
Yeah.
What you have is a great dialogue worthy of the human species.
Yes. Wow. I think I don't know if I were to talk to these technologists, if they realize that in fact, I mean, when I look at it, not that I'm like I am a previous technologist. I look at some of the questions that you asked about human evolution and consciousness, and what you brought out in some of your previous talks is that, hey, we're under a dire situation. There's pollution, limited resources, overpopulation, and when we've kind of screwed it up, these human bodies here, we've kind of messed up, and so maybe these robotics are an upgrade from our body and all the dependency it needs and all of that. Do you see that as a possibility?
I don't think so. My metaphor here is that our crisis is a birth, and we've been overgrowing the womb of Earth. But when I graduated from college in 1951, nobody knew we had a problem of population, of pollution, of anything. So I'm going to be 85, so I'm the last generation to be born without knowing this. Mm-hmm. But the younger ones all know it, and so certainly all the high technology people know it. So we did not know it, therefore I don't make us guilty of not knowing it. We were in the womb of Earth. But now we know one more doubling of the population, we'd all die.
Yeah.
So that's when it used to be fruitful and multiply.
Right.
I was of the generation, I had 5 children. That's what we were thinking we should do.
Right.
Have as many babies as possible and take care of your husband.
Right.
Well, then I got into the 60s and suddenly I find I'm an evolutionary woman.
Right.
But I already have the 5 children.
What to do?
So I brought them all with me.
Yeah.
And now they're evolutionary. So it worked out pretty well because I love my children. And I said, your mother's a pioneer. Do you want to come too?
Okay, so you're saying you have hope for the next generations because they know better. I mean, part of it was just pure ignorance. We just didn't know better. But you think that somehow humans will figure out some co-creation with robotics, perhaps?
Well, I think, first of all, we really do know about the environmental crisis.
Yeah.
We do know about climate change. The young people are really aware of this.
True.
Much more so than most of the olders are.
Yes.
And so that message has gotten out. But very few people have a message that we're evolving into a universal species. Mm. That's my message. Mm-hmm. And I think it's accurate because the high technology genius is creating it.
Yes.
And if you combine the mystic with the high technologist, if you combine the deep level consciousness of co-creation of the divine with high level consciousness, then you would really see something.
Okay, so here's the question related to that, because I don't think a lot of technologists are necessarily people who are also spiritual, who even knows, I mean, what do you mean? Help someone who's like, I don't even know what she meant when she said that, because what does that mean?
I don't think anybody is that stupid. I mean, a lot of people have different versions of spirituality, but what I'm talking about is the mystery story that we came from no thing at all to the original flaring forth that creates energy, matter, life. That process of creation, whatever name you want to give it, from God to accident, is amazing. And that process is not stopping here. We're part of the very process that created us. However you want to name it, and I don't think it, I mean, I know some people are saying it's all accident, there's no greater power, there's no greater force. Others are saying God did it all. I'm somewhere greater than all of that to saying it's a mystery, but it's intelligent. It's super intelligent in its result. And we are now part of that intelligence, and we've got the opportunity to guide it. So never mind word spiritual.
Yeah.
Just have the word creative.
Yes. You know, I actually think so. Here's how this loops back to the very beginning. If consciousness is being fed into us from a higher level, then at one point, if the developer of these robotics actually say, I'm just going to be open to a higher level of information. I'm not even sure what that looks like, but I have faith that it's there and that it's co-creating. And I'd like intentionally for this to be love, that alone could be enough, even if there's no spirituality, no religion, whatever, but just having that.
I think so. I think particularly if you have a shared question of what is the purpose of this power, that's the highest purpose we could have. Just ask ourselves that question.
Yes.
Yes, selling shoes. Yes, selling Facebook, but selling humanity's future. How do we do that? See, these people are brilliant. I feel that the movement that I'm in, Conscious Evolution, is a movement of really raising these questions at a global scale.
I agree.
Haven't been raised.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I was maybe finished with everything, but
you still have work to do.
At 85, I have, because I actually believe we're not alone in the universe.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be learned from off-planet beings that we have to know in order to evolve.
Yeah.
And secondly, I think we need to have the passion to see the highest creativity that we could apply to fulfill the divine destiny of a newborn global planetary species.
I love it. All right, thank you so much. Wow, that's a perfect end. That was inspiring. Yay! Right.
Yes, why don't you send that to Google and see what happens?
I will. No, I am going to. That's my hope, is because we have a lot of connections from my previous connection with
you see what happens and have them contact me.
I will. Okay. It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below, or to subscribe to the show, or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.